What you are listening to now is the Central Indiana Sports Report podcast number 334.3, the Fever Report with John Robertson and Michelle Garmon. Earlier in the day, Wednesday, I got a text from John Robertson saying he was going to have some spicy takes this week, and he sure did. Hence the subheadline, Spicy Takes. Enjoy. Oh, this is a good time to remind you that we don't apologize for our opinions. If it made it through the editing process, it stands as said.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
Welcome, Fever fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report. And I got a text earlier today that John Robertson has some spicy takes. So we're going to get to that. But first, John, I see you have some new gear.
Yeah, I went down and got the new Stranger Things X Indiana Fever jersey. I say
Let me
new.
guess.
They did.
Lexi Hall.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep, 100%. Like, we went down there, and for the people that don't know, they did this collaboration several years ago. I want to say like 2021, maybe it was the first time they did it. And they brought it back. People have been asking for it to come back. Caitlin made a comment that they should bring them back. So they're back. So I was really excited. I went and got a Lexi Hall jersey. They had everybody. We thought about picking up a couple other people, but
Lexi's your favorite.
Lexi's my favorite player on the team. If she ever leaves the Fever, I'm going to be in trouble because I have 3 jerseys of hers, and it'll be sad if she ever leaves.
Not allowed to leave. That's like TJ McConnell is not allowed to leave. We will hold her hostage here if we need to.
It just makes me nervous with an expansion draft every year for the next 4 years or whatever. Like, anyway.
I know.
Well, that's one of my spicy takes. We've talked about it a little bit, but we'll get into that here. I don't want to segue to that one immediately. But
yeah, because there are more important things, like T-shirts.
Yeah.
Bad look.
Yeah. Okay.
Bad.
Let's start with that because I predicted this the other night when we talked about it. Right? I said the timing is bad. I'm one of the people. I have no problem with with WNBA players asking for a higher percentage of the revenue.
None.
Look, I have no problem with that at all. Like, they definitely deserve an increase in a percentage of what they're making. But the timing was horrible. Horrible. It's absolute horrible timing to put on a political statement. And I think this goes back to the root of the WNBA has always been somewhat political and activist league. So, the first thing
that hurt their brand.
Yeah, but that's their brand that doesn't work. That's the
Right,
part of their
that's what
brand
It's hurt it in a lot of ways.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why people haven't cared about the WNBA for 2 decades, right? Like, let's be honest. Like, I've followed it some. I've started following it again once, my daughter was into it in about 2018, I think is about when I started to watch it again. But, like, for all those decades, people didn't care because it was an activist league. People want sports to be sports. That doesn't mean that these people can't have opinions on politics. They absolutely can. But time your message appropriately. And I think that they really screwed up by taking this moment of huge momentum for the league. Tons of new eyes on the league. Lots of people are saying, I hadn't cared about it in the past. Maybe I'll give it another chance. This Caitlin Clark thing's kind of exciting. And even if you don't like Caitlin Clark, and I always hate to make it about Caitlin Clark, and you know that. But, like, there's lots of eyes on it because of her. And then all of a sudden, they what do? They take these new eyes that have come back or tried to care, and they've squashed it with this, we're going to be political, pay us what you owe us. And I'm like, God bless.
The word "owe" in there is what is just... Other than that, if it said pay us what we're worth, anything like that, I don't think people would have batted an eye at it.
Or give us
a CBA negotiation.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. And then on top of that, I want to stay on that topic, but adjacent to that topic, Kelsey Plum's comments that's
what we're here for.
That squashes it too. Like,
bad.
How stupid do you like? And
how tone deaf is she?
I hadn't always been a Kelsey, I'm not even a Kelsey Plum hater, right? Like, I think she's fine. I think she's a good player. She's kind of quirky and funny, so I give her credit for that. But like, she said some dumb stuff, and that was by far one of the worst. When like the look on Sabrina's face. Well, first of all, what she said was, she's like, we had a meeting before the game, and we decided we were going to do this. And I don't want to tattletale on anybody, but exactly 0 members from Caitlin or Team Clark were there. And Sabrina looks at her, and she's like, why? On one side of your mouth, you're saying we're united front because we need to do this thing. And then the exact 5 seconds later, you say we're not exactly united because the other team didn't even show up.
Michelle, it's clearly a league divided.
I think Kelsey Plum, it was wrong, and I don't know if she was trying to give a sarcastic joke or whatever, but it was wrong to say that, especially the reason Team Clark was not there. And I thought it was very telling when Nafisa Collier and another member of her team said exactly why Team Clark wasn't there. It was too early. They were having some kind of workout or whatever, but they had already talked to them, and they knew that all of Team Clark was on board with the thing. So that would either Kelsey Plum didn't get that memo, or who knows, or she's just trying to stir up, I don't know, even hate, or if it's more attention. But I agree with John too. I don't like, and you, Greg, I don't like the shirt saying, pay us what you owe us. I agree with you, Greg. It should be, pay us what we're worth. And
give us our value, anything.
Yes.
Right. No one would have had any problem with that, I don't think.
Well, they'll say no one, because like, we're going to get into this as part of. There's definitely people that like would have had a problem just because it's women's sports and they want to start problems.
No one cares about them.
Right.
Well, I know, but they exist. Like, we have to admit that they exist.
And there are people like me who have not been a WNBA fan because of this stuff, and I want to be a WNBA fan. I want to be a Fever fan, and they're doing everything they can to chase me off. Now, this team's too likable to chase me off. They're not going to, because it has nothing to do with any of the Fever, although another topic we need to talk about is Kelsey's mother.
Yeah. We'll get to that one. But I agree. Like, you demonstrate, or you are like the example that I've been saying when I talk to people about this. It's like, there are casuals who want to be interested and are starting to come and look at it. And like, again, we have this political brand, and then so they're turned off. So now other people, like in my social media explorations today, I'm noticing that lots of people are seeing something that you and I have talked about multiple times. It's that the Fever stay out for the national anthem. The Fever stay out for the national anthem. Every game I've been to, Fever stay out for the national anthem. Other teams don't. And I really rack in my brain, and I want to make sure I'm very clear on this. I can't say with 100% certainty that no other team does, but I don't remember any other team when I've gone to a game being out there for the national anthem. So maybe some teams do, but the majority of them don't. And I don't like that either, but like, people are starting to really notice it now because they're getting back to this political garbage. Like, it's one of those things, like, I'm all for have your opinions. I'm all for stand for what you believe in, but don't, like, that can't be your only existence. You can't only live in this political world. Like, there's stuff outside of that bubble, and if you don't step out of it once in a while and enjoy the world, like, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Like I said to Michelle earlier, John, this is clearly a league divided. Whatever it is, there is a dividing line, and we saw it in the WNBA All-Star draw, I think. I think we saw that division. We saw it during the All-Star game, and with Kelsey Plum's words. We've seen it since last night when there was players throwing each other to the ground, and there's clearly a huge division in this league. The Fever have, for the most part, avoided that. But some new news. Tell us about that, John.
Well, I don't even know that I would call it news, but it hit the fan today with people were talking trash. I don't even know if trash is the right word. People had a lot of extra criticism for Kelsey Mitchell today after last night's game. Which, first of all, I want to preface this conversation with Kelsey Mitchell. Kelsey Mitchell deserves zero criticism right now. Absolutely zero. She has been playing. She's been playing out of her mind well. She's been carrying the team while Caitlin's been out. She's scored at least 15 per night, if not 20. I think most nights 20. So we're going to cut Kelsey some slack, and we're going to give her flowers for playing really well before we get into this conversation. Sure.
Yeah. She's been great.
So She's been absolutely fantastic. But, people were frustrated with the loss to the New York Liberty last night for what, why? Let's talk about the game from last night real quick before we get into this, because I think that provides context to the whole conversation, right? So the Fever lost to the Liberty 84-98 last night, but up until the third quarter, they had a pretty good lead. In the third quarter, they lost a solid lead. So you're beating what I would say is clearly the best team in the league.
One of the top two, sure.
Sure. But I mean, even now that they've added Messman from Europe, or Messelman, I forget her name, but they're top two. And you're beating them without your star. Regardless if you want to say she's your best player, she's your star. So you're beating them into the third quarter, and then we lose the game. So people are clearly frustrated. But this is one of those things where I think you have to separate like the actual Fever fans from the Caitlin stands and the people who just don't understand basketball, right? So this is where like we have to have a dividing line on the fans, right? I have a little issue with the people who like let's take. I'm gonna stick with me on this. It's gonna be a little bit of an analogy, but like let's talk about Taylor Swift for a minute. Taylor Swift's music's fine, right? You could like her at the beginning, you could like her later stuff, you could like some of it, not all of it. You can like all. There's people that like her music for her music. And then there's the Swifties, right? There are these people that follow her around. She can do absolutely zero wrong. When Taylor's upset, everybody's upset with these people. That's what we have for Caitlin Clark right now. They're like Caitlin Clark Swifties. Like, if the team loses, why didn't you support Caitlin? Why didn't this happen? It's not Caitlin's fault. Let's blame everybody around them. And that is not true Fever or basketball fandom. And that's what's the root of the problem where we're going to get to Kelsey's family and the tweets that came about it, right? Because the Clarkies, we'll call them the Clarkies. The Clarkies were upset at the loss. The Clarkies start blaming Kelsey Mitchell because they clearly don't know ball. They start blaming whatever. So then Kelsey's family gets a little miffed and they start talking some subtle trash on social media, but they were frustrated. Now everybody's going after Kelsey, saying she should denounce her family and get her family under control and all this garbage. And I'm like, you can't even control your uncle at Thanksgiving, let alone like if you had a giant platform. So stop telling Kelsey what she needs to do.
Try to control my parents. Are you out of your mind?
Yeah, it's insane. I don't know if it was her mom or if it was her sister or who. I think it might have been her sister also. Like, I'm just saying. So they're automatically... These people are projecting that, Kelsey's obviously saying all this stuff at home around about Caitlin. And I don't see that at all. They're projecting and looking for things that we have zero evidence for. We have zero evidence for any of that. Stop trying to make drama and let the team do its thing. And the other part, real quick, the other part about it that really makes me mad is they want these fans, these Clarkies or the haters or whatever it is, they want to talk all this trash and say whatever they want to say on social media, but they want to stop other people from saying because that's not appropriate for Kelsey's sister to say. And that's bullshit to me. I'm sorry. Like it makes me mad. That's hypocritical.
I saw today, John, was a tweet from somebody else that he said that he was tired of all this talk about Clark because he thinks that he said the Fever can win with Kelsey and Aaliyah. Those two can win without Clark. The Fever can win with those two without Clark. But he said that Clark couldn't win without those two. Whether or not, and all Kelsey Mitchell's mom did, she retweeted it and said something positive. But I'm like, she didn't say Caitlin was bad. It's like, for me, she's supporting her daughter in that. But a CC fan, it was one or two words, but one of those CC fans just, the Fever can't help it signing players that their families hate Clark. And I want to sit there and go, there was no hate in Mom's retweet. Not one word of hate. She was supporting her daughter. She was saying she agreed with her daughter, that she was glad to see. She thinks her daughter's that value, and I do too. The Fever are in trouble if Kelsey Mitchell isn't on this team this year, especially with Caitlin Clark's sideline.
Yeah, Kelsey Mitchell's been like, and Aaliyah Boston. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to discount Aaliyah Boston because she's been fantastic too. But
Kelsey's been better.
Kelsey's just been a consistent producer. She has been a consistent producer. Even when her finger was broken at the beginning of the season, she was still producing, right? Her 3-point shot's gotten better as her fingers healed. But, like, I will never say anything bad about her because she's played so well. My wife got a Kelsey Mitchell shirt today, not a jersey, but she said, I want to support Kelsey because she's been playing so well. So she bought a Kelsey Mitchell shirt today. Like, it's just, I really feel like these people, like the Clarkies and the haters and whatever, they're always just looking for some drama to stir up because they need drama. Like, they have nothing actually meaningful going on in their lives, that they live in this, like, I gotta have a soap opera around something.
Yeah.
It just drives me nuts. But I'm just saying, I will stand for zero Kelsey hate. Like, I will always.
That's the stance of the Central Indiana Sports Report in general. We all three believe that she's great and invaluable to this team, and that it's not a big deal.
And I think that it's funny because, like, she's so consistently good that when she puts up 15 to 20, we don't even, like, think to say, oh, Kelsey had a great night tonight. And that's not a diss on Kelsey. It's just because we almost expect it because she's so good. Anyway.
Guys, I know that we're here for hot takes and nothing more, but I need to ask, is there a concern with the depth, especially with Caitlin out?
Depends what your goal is as far as I'm concerned. Like, I don't think it's a championship team right now. With Caitlin out and with the depth the way it is, I don't think they can contend. I don't think they're going to be able to really beat the Lynx in a series, and I don't think they're going to be able to beat Liberty in a series. They could pick up a game here and there, but I don't think they're going to win it all with the current roster.
Especially last night, especially when you watch the Liberty. I mean, my gosh, are they not they're a fun team to watch themselves with just how good they are and how they can turn it up and put on a run or whatever. But yeah, I'm a little concerned with the Fever's depth. Now, I don't know who was unable to play last night because was it Timpson?
Timpson and Brianna did not play. So we had Caitlin out for injury, illness. Timpson didn't play. Turner didn't play.
Timpson, I think, I saw today where Stephanie or somebody associated with the Fever said they had Caitlin out and another player unavailable. So it had to be one. And I was wondering if it was her, if she's a little
maybe
sick or.
But
whatever.
let's. I mean, I'm not here to hate on players, but what does Brianna Turner offer to this team? She hasn't played any significant minutes for the last bunch of games, and we paid a decent amount of money to get her here. And she's not really doing anything. And again, I'm not here to hate on players, but like I'm just asking, what's her role?
Unless she's being good in the locker room or at practice, things that fans aren't privy to seeing. Because
completely fair. But it is just one of those things that, like, the average casual fan, if they're paying attention at all, is going to say, what are we doing? And we haven't, like, I do think the Fever front office, they have a spot. They could get us a 12th player. And they haven't yet. So why? Why have we not picked up someone?
Probably financial.
I don't know. I mean, when we got rid of Bonner, we opened up some money, you would think.
Guys, last thing I want to say before we go, watching the Fever game last night, I hate that I like the Liberty so much.
I'm right there with you. I'm absolutely right there with you. Like, how can you not like Sabrina Ionescu and what she said and done to be supportive of Caitlin? So that's, as a Fever fan, that's why. But just watching New York play, like, I like them. They're fun to watch.
Jones and Stewart and Cloud, they're all so much fun to watch.
Well, yeah, that was Jonquel Jones' first game back. So, like, she was really, I did not expect her to be as impactful as she was, and she was a powerhouse last night.
The depth.
Yes, they do.
They have depth.
I don't know how any team can beat them in a series. Being really honest, I don't see it, especially when they
would have to have a great, great series. That would be the only way I could see it.
Yeah, because, like, with Fibich going off for 17 and Stewart for 17 and Jones for 18 and Ionescu for 13. Ionescu only had 3 points up until the second half, and then she ends up getting 13. I don't know.
Harrison, right? Izzy Harrison's on that team, right?
Yeah, Izzy Harrison had 13.
Yeah, I mean, she's really playing well right now. I mean, they can bring people off the bench that can score, and they did. Those bench players scored for them last night.
They're just a really well-rounded team with a lot of star power, and it's just,
And way too likable for a New York team.
Yeah, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. I will say that, like, Sabrina's been my daughter's favorite non-Fever player for a long time.
She's
And
great.
we got to meet her at All-Star Weekend, and she was super kind, super nice, and like just everything I've seen her say and do in press conferences and press releases has been very professional and supportive, and like that's what you need from like we need a little drama, right? I don't want to say we need
Yes.
everybody to be all lovey-dovey. I'm not even going to pretend that that's the truth. We need a little bit of drama. We need a little rivalry, but like some of the stuff is just so dirty.
You know she's kind of special, and was. I mean, she was. Obviously, she spoke at Kobe Bryant's memorial. And Pau Gasol came to Indianapolis to support her in the 3-point contest and in the All-Star game, and so she's made an impact like out west. I started following her when she was in college, because I would see what she was doing, and then so I was trying to track down highlights, and I would look for search Google and everything for games, and if Oregon was on TV, I made sure I watched because she is such a fun player, and she was always conducted herself well off the court too. Very polite, very respectful, just a great young lady.
Absolutely. Easy to cheer for, but she plays for New York, so we really don't want to do that. Thanks so much, guys. Love talking Fever. We'll talk again tomorrow night after a Fever win, right? Come on, John. Let me say that again. Let me do this one more time. Talk again tomorrow night after a big Fever win, right, guys?
That's right. They're going to come through tomorrow against the Aces. I think so.
Sure, I think hey, they need to. I mean, it's time for them to. I hate to say it, but for them, I really think until Kelsey's been consistent. Hey, John, I will say this: I thought Lexi looked much better last night, healthier than she had before the All-Star break. Even though she was in that 3-point shooting contest, I think that break was really good for her.
You guys know that I'm never going to say anything negative about that woman. I absolutely
love her.
I love Lexi Hall in the most non-romantic way possible.
Lexi Hall and Aaliyah Boston are the official favorites of the Central Indiana Sports Report. As much as we love Caitlin and Kelsey, those are the for us.
Here's what I'm going to say. Like, and this is what I really think about. Like, Caitlin is what brings the eyes. We love that Caitlin brings the eyes, and she's a great player. Love it. But, like, what she did was she shined a light on some of these surrounding players, and that they're just so likable, right? That, like, I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to sit here and say Lexi's better than Caitlin Clark. That would be ridiculous.
And we'll talk again tomorrow night after a big win, guys. I could just not get Michelle on board that the Fever are going to win on Thursday night. Either way, we will be here to break it down. We will have a recap, and then John and Michelle's reaction to the big win over the Las Vegas Aces. I'm calling my shot. Thanks so much for listening. Please share this podcast with the Fever fans in your life and help spread the message that the Central Indiana Sports Report is here podcasting every single day. Thanks so much. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.